the remediation for a cybersecurity breach, should it be treated as a project?
I think in most cases, I have trouble thinking of a case where it wouldn't be smart to treat it as a project, so that you at least have tracking and you have historical, you have lessons learned, and you have a formal process that you can count on. And so I think the answer is yes. I would definitely treat remediation. Most of the time, you have a lot of interested parties. Could be auditors, could be legal, could be others. And you want to make sure that they are confident in the process and that the remediation actually it worked and can do the best it can to prevent a future breach.
Got it. There's so many departments that need to be collaborated with for a situation like this. How does IT engage these proper organizations involved in the incident?
Well, I think, and Sylvia mentioned it earlier, I think first get with the areas that may be most impacted or that the breach occurred in, and work with them in somewhat responsible fashion, such that you're not expanding the scope and getting everybody involved who doesn't need to be involved. So if you have a problem within the financial area, work with the financial area to get their input, get their as much data as you can. Because if you're doing an investigation, and Bob could talk about this as well, that you need to make sure that the forensics team that's doing that is really focused and really getting, the facts that they need. After that, though, you still need to keep in partnership. I did anyway, as I kept the legal team. I brought them in pretty early to make sure that they kept in lockstep. If it were a very public type of thing, I would certainly have the communications team right with me. And if there were issues that we really called on HR to be a part of it, that we have an HR issue, then I would certainly include them right away. But there could also be certainly other departments, like, if you're in a product company, you may want the product manager certainly involved. In our case, you may want the mission manager if it was that dire and had mission impact. So you have to use good judgment in this, but you also have to have a plan of communications and escalation and when you do that. One final note is I had a rule that I had to inform not only the senior leadership, but the board of trustees if a breach was serious enough to warrant that kind of level of communication.
What types of cyber incidents have you seen the most of?
Typically, they come in multiple ways, but poorly formed website was one of the most popular ways. Phishing, as Sylvia indicated, certainly has gotten more sophisticated. I forgot to tell my little embarrassing story that I was physically on a call with the NASA CISO and deputy CISO, and NASA was doing a phishing campaign on us at JPL, and I fell for it because I was distracted, as was my excuse, and I gave my credentials and everything else, and so my penance was I had to take additional training, and it was embarrassing, to be honest with you, but people laughed it off because they got me. But there are multiple things that can create avenues of attack, and you certainly could plan for most. You could try to have prevention technologies and capabilities in place, but those are the things I've seen the most impact. We have seen what Sylvia experienced, where laptops that were not encrypted for whatever reason or got decrypted were lost, and that includes devices, and some of those even made the news. And how do you prepare for educating people on what to take? For example, if you were traveling internationally, we would not allow you to take your device, your JPL device. You'd have to take a loaner device that was cleaned before and after it returned.